Hi, Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com's DevOps TV here at DOES 2016 San Francisco. And I'm joined by a couple of DOES veterans, right? Paula Thrasher, Kevin Stanley.
That's right.
Of CSRA. Yeah. Guys, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
So you presented today.
We did.
Went well, I hope?
I think so.
I think it went very well.
It always does, Paula. You do a great job. Are you kidding? But, you know, we interviewed you last year, actually, and things have changed a little bit since then. Why don't you share with our audience some of the changes?
Sure. I mean, so obviously, actually last year when we spoke, we were right in the middle of the separation and merger. So last year I was with CSC. CSC split into commercial and federal. Yep. Our federal group merged with a company called SRA. Right. And so now the new company, CSRA, so we're not even a year old yet. And what we actually talked about this year was we actually were able to tell the story of the separation and the merger and kind of how that really helped us internally drive our DevOps transformation. Not as much about, you know, last year I spoke about sort of us doing this for the federal market.
Right.
And I think
this was more your own.
Yeah, it was our own, right? It was our own story, and I think some of the lessons that we learned out of that.
So, you know, whenever you're talking about mergers, acquisitions, and it's an interesting theme, and it's one I've heard now. We've spoken about in 2 or 3 of our interviews today, and that is this idea of, look, if we could do DevOps in a green field, right? If I told you come in and just you're queen or king for the day, do what you want, you can make a great DevOps story. But unfortunately, real world doesn't work like that, right? We get brown fields, dirty fields. And so we build the best DevOps we can on top of them. But when you have a merger like this, there's an opportunity for a little bit anyway of greenfield.
You know, but I think a big lesson out of the merger was that actually what we had to do to be successful in the, basically 4 months, 1 week, we had to pull it off, was to accept that we couldn't actually rebuild the entire infrastructure from scratch. In 4 months, nobody can do that. That's not possible.
Yeah, not possible.
So there was a lot that was, pick and lift. I think Kevin, talks about maybe one of the best lessons being just some of the Lotus Notes of just even figuring out.
Yeah, Lotus Notes.
It was all Lotus Notes.
We were still, right? So I think we were probably the world's largest.
To someone.
But this is legacy, right?
Yeah, look, I helped start a company called Interliant, and we were the largest hosted Lotus Notes provider back in 1998.
So, of course, you can imagine when the separation was announced, I think everybody was like, oh, great, it's another chance to get off Lotus Notes.
Why would you want to get off Notes?
I think everybody was like, great, when we're done merging, we'll be off Lotus Notes. And that looks
like still on Notes?
No. We're since then.
We
did eventually get off Notes. I mean, it was also a great story.
That must have not been easy, though.
No, it was definitely not easy. So basically everything that was on Lotus Notes, we just took and shifted. And one of my horror stories was from Lotus Notes. Some lady was using a database on Lotus Notes for 18 years, pointed to a spreadsheet on her desktop.
Oh, God.
So one of our things was trying to update that and move it into the more DevOps-y kind of world. So.
Yeah. And we've done a lot of things, the rethinking that was to first kind of, we minimum viable company. I mean, that was kind of our concept.
Okay, so you
were
going
literally
MVC.
Right, MVC,
right,
and but as we actually did the migration, first we got the email piece and then we tackled I think it was 600 plus databases. Wow. And we're still tackling the residual, but a lot of what we had to do, I think the unique opportunity of the crisis of a merger is that you get to actually rethink things, as you mentioned, but the nice thing is that we got to just shut stuff off. We just said if nobody raises your hand to say they own the system, then it's not going.
Shut quite a few things
kind of my garage rule, right? If that
off.
box is in that garage for like a year and a half, not opened.
Yep.
Yeah, I think if Kevin had a personal helmet of all the things he shut down in the last year,
it'd
be full.
Unbelievable.
That's great. That's I think a huge positive benefit for us.
Well, it declutters. It's a declutterer, if that's a word.
And I think that's actually really an underserved thing in terms of being successful in transformation is that you have to acknowledge one of the things that John Dancy, our CIO, says a lot is we call it either the hand of surrender, 10 things. I'm not sure if we'll ever get to 10 systems, but the point was that it shouldn't be 200. It should be very small number of set standards, and even if things aren't perfect, there's value from a DevOps automation standpoint to having standards because it's a lot easier for us to automate when it's all, vanilla and it's all the same than when everything is a special.
200.
And that value was worth more than, in many cases, the different, 3 features that XYZ vendor provides over, that we could
ABC.
live with standard,
Right.
because it helped us
And
so much
I
in other
agree with
ways.
you. It's not, tool selection is part of any kind of merger of, different teams and stuff. But sometimes people get so hung up on the fact that I want to use my tool, right? Because I don't want to change.
Right.
And that's a problem, right?
Yeah, it was hard.
Sometimes you have to change.
You got to
It's
do a
still
little
hard.
compromise. You guys mentioned, though, that you actually built a DevOps building.
Yeah, so
That's cool.
so at least I describe it that way. So we built we call the Integrated Technology Center down in Louisiana in Bossier City, and we built, we wanted to build basically, an office and a location that was really sort of for the future of business. And when the architects for that space and the space designers and the facilities team wanted to think about how to lay it out, they actually came and spent a day on my Agile DevOps project, and we took them to a stand-up meeting, and they watched a CERT call, and they watched an existing team and sort of what I'll call maybe Architect 1.0, our standard open office work, and we explained they watched the stand-up meeting where we parade everybody in front of the Kanban board, and we were explaining we need wide hallways because this is where we have the stand-up meetings, and we need walls, and we need. And I think one of the cooler things that the architects designed in the building, we designed it to be very flexible. We can move, raised floor stuff, so we can move the desks around to configure around teams and stuff. But one of the cooler things they designed was they put all of the, they call it encounter space, but they put all of the coffee maker and the couches and stuff in the middle, so that we've got, the software space over
you have
here.
to interact. Yep.
Yeah, we have the software space over, on this side, right? And, there's kind of an ops, there's a SOC and a NOC and all those things. And they have, characteristics and badgeable things that we can't let all the developers just go into the NOC. But we didn't want them to feel even though we had to specialize, because you kind of have to when you're at scale, we didn't want it to be too separate. So when they go get coffee, it's in a shared space.
With the proverbial water cooler.
It really is.
Yep,
and it's a funny, and we designed it just, to feel open, to feel light, and to feel very collaborative. And I think it's a small thing and it's really subtle, but I do, and we just really moved in maybe about a month ago.
Yeah, about a month ago.
But we're actually doing the ribbon cutting next week. I'm really excited about the future of having this space that we kind of purposely built for
DevOps.
For DevOps.
So I got to ask, did you name it like the Deming Building, the Kim Building, Patrick Dubois, something? No, nothing like that.
No, it's a, it's our Integrated Technology Center, and it's through partnership with the state of Louisiana.
So, it is. It's in Punch with State, so that's great.
Yes.
So now, where do you guys go from here?
Gosh, I think the challenge, as we were thinking about, maybe the next year's journey, a lot of it is still, even though I think we have been focused on sort of scaling, I don't think that's done yet. I think there's still a lot of growing people, growing skills, kind of focusing on training and growth and encouraging that mindset. I think there's still quite a bit of closing some of the sort of separation things, but we're pivoting from just getting to one system, which has been the focus of the last year, to actually getting to business enabling, cool ideas, right? Yep. So now we're getting to things like to the rethink everything, the future of what we want it to be.
So you got your baseline, and now
so now it's kind of I think we've got the stability of a good stable system. Now we can innovate and do.
So let me
that kind of stuff.
I don't want to keep you chilling, but let me ask you one final question to both of you then, which is, now you've learned all these lessons, you've had all this experience. But at the end of the day, your business is about serving your customers. How do you translate, or what do you think the biggest lessons learned that you will be able to pass on to your customers?
Probably the biggest thing I learned is that the business partners have to be involved. Because one of the things when we stood up the programs, they worked fine, but when the business wasn't involved, things fell apart. So, and the more they work in the Agile Scrum methodology and tell us what they want to learn and tell us what is important, that's what we can provide to them.
And I think when you talk about business partners like that, it's not just, it's the marketing, it's the sales,
it has to be everybody.
it's accounting, it's
because everybody has
HR.
different things that are important to them.
Yeah. That is an important piece of it. And that, you know, when we talk about doing DevOps transformations and cultural transformations, I think that's something that we tend to focus on the dev and the ops teams, and we're going to break that silo down. But there's so much more to an organization.
Yeah, real systems
makes it
thinking includes
function.
the business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with
I think that absolutely, to me, that was one of the larger lessons out of the whole separation project, is that we had to build a new business too, right? We had to build HR and all these other functions that didn't exist. The fact that we collaborated so closely with that team, it's paid dividends, because now as we get into that next phase of imagining stuff, it was really exciting. We were having some sessions last week to sort of plan some of those things. I could really see the engagement level of those groups of HR and finance, that they would never, not to that level of engagement with IT that we've I think we've built that.
That's a great thing. And you know, that's why the merger is an opportunity to greenfield that to a certain extent. Well, look, great story, great checkup. Looking forward to hearing next year's success story. Well, maybe we'll check in before then. But thanks for speaking at Does this year. And thanks for joining us on DevOps TV from DevOps.com.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Great. Kevin, Paula, thank you from CSRA. This is Alan Schimmel for DevOps.com's DevOps TV at Does 16.